Hey guys, I'm Randy Unger, and this is another episode of Unger the Radar, where we talk all things film. And we've got a jam-packed episode for you tonight. I've got some of my favorite people in the world right here, right now. Ladies first, we have Rachel Kolb. Welcome back, Rachel.
Hi, happy to be back.
Nice. And Mr. Chris Clemente. How are
Hey,
you?
hey. Hey, I'm doing great, Randy. How are you?
Great, great. Thank you. And we've also got Matt Roren back again.
Hello.
Mr. Matt.
Yes, yes. So guys, real quick, just what are we watching this week? What are we streaming? What DVD Blu-rays are in the player? Rachel, what are you watching?
So the other night I watched Patrick Willems' video essay on the OC, and it made me really want to rewatch some episodes of the OC. So I have been watching it on HBO Max, which has all 4 seasons of the show. By the way, 4th season, I agreed with Patrick Willems. It is very much underrated and probably the best season of the show.
Okay, the OC. I never got into that. That was sort of like a soap opera with teenagers, right?
Yeah, basically it just kind of tried to push the format as far as you could with it. Like if depending on how you watch it, you can watch it as just a straight up teen soap opera, but it's also a bit of a parody of it as well. Like there's a lot of very self-referential stuff going on in it. Like the fact that there's kind of a show within a show that's like the OC.
Well,
So-
yeah, it came out around the same time as The Hills, so
Yeah.
it was really making fun of The Hills, but as its own. It's very sitcom-esque in certain ways, while being like a teen dramedy. It's one of those shows I absolutely love. I mean, also it gave us Adam Brody like in a role who I'm simply in love with that guy. Like he's like one of my number one man crushes ever. It's like I just like I don't know, can't get enough of that guy.
Wow, that
Yeah.
good.
It was also one of the first roles of Chris Pratt before he was Star-Lord and before
Wow,
he
I
was
totally did not, because I have not watched the show since it aired, so I did not know who he was at the time, so I do not remember him.
He
So I
had
gotta rewatch it.
season 4. He is when Summer goes off to college. He is kind of the hippie friend that she makes at college that convinces her to steal the lab bunny and get her kicked out of school.
Wow, and that was a few years before Parks and Recreation, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, Chris, what have you been watching?
Oh boy. I just finished The Undoing on HBO Max. Loved it. Like it was just chilling, like just bone chilling, just to see the acting of Nicole Kidman and Hugh Grant. What a performance by Hugh Grant. And it was something totally different than that I expected. It was almost like a whodunit, but instead of it being procedural, it was more psychological in that sense. So it was it always kept you on your toes. Loved it. Highly recommend it.
So it's like a drama thriller.
Yeah, it's almost like a whodunit.
That's cool.
There's I don't want to give too much away, but there's a murder that kind of involves Nicole Kidman's circle of high affluent society and her family, and there's a conspiracy against whether or not the husband did it, whether her husband did it, whether the kids did it, so whether she did it. So you're constantly guessing who's doing it, who's
like a
done
very
it, yeah.
curious Clue, like a version of Clue, but just very
yeah, in a sense, yeah.
Well, it's also very akin to Big Little Lies, which David E.
Yes.
Kelly also wrote.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
totally in the same vibe and vein.
Mhm.
And then other than that, I've been really feeling Quincy on
nice.
on Netflix. Been I don't know, it's just been a good, throw it on, watch a couple minutes here and there, and I forgot how much stuff that man has produced. From musics and film scores and just everything, like spanning generations. I didn't realize that he dates as far back as Frank Sinatra and Ray Charles, but he's done it all.
A true icon, and also the father of one of the actresses in our first movie tonight.
Yes.
But before we get to that movie, Matt, I know you're always watching stuff. You always got something going.
I'm currently
It's like a synopsis.
while doing this.
Yeah.
I'm also watching Ducktales. I paused it. I am watching Ducktales, the Treasure of the Lost Lamp right now. In the middle of my never-ending Disney quest, watching all things Disney, so I'm smack dab in 1990 right now. I watched just today alone. I watched Problem Child, which was not a Disney release. Universal released it, but it ran as a Disney Sunday movie, so I watched it. But I watched Problem Child, and I watched what else did I watch today? Betsy's Wedding, which is another one of those movies I love that people hate. It's like, oh, they now got everyone in the cast got nominated for Razzies.
I can't keep up with you, Matt. Sometimes I catch your feed on Facebook, and I'm like, man, like today you're watching like Bob Hope's Comedy Hour from 1962, and I'm like,
and let's see, today, to that today, and I did. I was just talking. I did Dick Tracy last night.
Nice.
And Arachnophobia I watched today, which is a classic.
What a double bill.
I know, right? But yeah, that's the 1990 so far. I'm loving this. 1990 was like such a good year for these films. Like,
so is it just whatever you're feeling, or like?
Oh no, I have like a huge master list.
Yeah.
That's pretty much everything Disney related, from the beginning to now. And I've watched all of it up to 1990 right now, which is
wow.
I started this around like March, and
you should do like a Miramax Disney spin-off of
no,
that.
I pretty much all that stuff is in here.
Oh wow.
Anything they distributed, or like whatever, like
affiliates, everything.
If they showed it for a Disney Sunday movie, like whatever, it's on my list.
They should make a movie about your life and your viewing habits. Man.
Oh yeah, just like it's a movie about that guy sitting on a couch watching TV.
Exactly.
Riveting. But besides that, God, I mean, I've been focusing a lot on that my last like 2 weeks, so I haven't really done much else. I did watch the part 2 special of the Euphoria on HBO, which is an incredible show if you have not watched it. It's really, really well written, and they're in between seasons 1 and 2 right now, and they released 2 specials episodes that each one is a specific character that they like cover, like what happened after season 1. So it's very intense and interesting. But besides that, it's just Disney stuff right now, and whatever you tell me to watch. So
and what are you watching, Randy?
So for the past like week and a half, 2 weeks, I've been completely immersed in Schitt's Creek on Netflix.
Yes.
Oh my God, this show! This is my second pass. I already watched the whole thing. I'm rewatching it. I'm on season 1 again, and this show is just so fresh, so original. It's hilarious. Everyone in this show is like pitch perfect. I'm a big fan, especially of Eugene and Dan Levy, who basically created the show. They're the writers and stars, 2 of the stars. And I can't get enough of this show. Like after a long day of work, you come home, you put this show on. It's a perfect, relaxer.
Yep.
It's just very, very smart and very.
That's exactly how I felt while watching it. Yep.
I got into it after season 4 came out, and I binge watched. It was like I binge watched seasons 1 to 3 on Netflix, like in like a couple days, maybe days. Nice. And then I was like, oh no, they don't have season 4 yet. So then I was like, I found the Pop Network app, and then like watched all of them on Pop Network, and then watched the last season as it happened. It's such a great show. I'm excited to see Dan Levy hosting Saturday Night Live
That's gonna
Cool.
be
next
great.
week, I believe.
This week. Okay.
Yeah, so that's gonna be awesome, I'm sure. But yeah, that show so good.
Yeah. It's one of those shows that you can just breeze through and binge watch. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because every episode has the same tone. Like
yeah,
I think it was 6 seasons, and it's like like it goes through the whole thing like perfectly. Like it feels like it's just one long journey, and I'm just really.
and the seasons are short too, so it's like
Yeah.
I know.
it's like
I'm
like watching 2
watch-
seasons of a
watch.
network show is
Mhm.
watching the whole series. It's like season 1 of Lost is the entire show. Like,
So yeah, I'm obviously late to the Schitt's Creek party, but Rachel, when did you discover the show?
I actually discovered the show a couple years ago when I started working at my current job, because just about everybody on my team had watched Schitt's Creek, and they told me, they're like, I don't care if you started the first season and thought this isn't really for me, go back, give it another chance. And I did, and I'm so glad that I did. And it's not even that I disliked the show when I watched the first few episodes of the first season. It just, like, I don't think I quite got what they were going for yet with it. And I think that it got so much better as the show went on, especially when I got, the point of the show is that this is what small town life could look like in a world where there's no homophobia.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I was like, oh, okay, I get this. And I really like this. And the fact that it gives all these characters a chance to shine and to, just like especially Moira in the later seasons with all of her artistic endeavors and the town putting on cabaret. I just like, and they don't play like the production of cabaret for laughs. It's, if you go to a lot of small town community theater productions, this is what you get. A lot, like there actually is a lot of talent in these small towns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I totally agree with that. But it took me, I was always aware of it. I know it came out a number of years ago, like 2013 or 14. I was aware of it. I was never really a big Eugene Levy fan, but
Really?
I mean, I like his work. I love Stay Tuned, but and Splash, but I got I don't know. I saw it cycling through Netflix, and wasn't really a lot going on, and I decided to check it out, and I was pretty much immediately hooked. Similar to the way I was with Arrested Development, which has
it's a similar like style.
Right. Similar premise, no laugh track.
I think Schitt's Creek is more steady with its tone, though.
Yeah.
And it's
And the fact of the matter is that Arrested Development goes very dark and goes very like, its characters are depraved. Like that whole family deserves.
Yeah, it's one of those
to almost
like
not funny.
They are bad people. Like the Bluths are bad people.
Right.
Like in this, you're like, okay, like they're not terrible people. They're just like out of touch. You know?
Right.
Yeah, it is much different. But yeah, I mean, Eugene Levy. I grew up like SCTV, like so it's like anything Eugene Levy, Catherine O'Hara, like I'm gonna eat it up. Like absolutely love all those. Joe Flaherty, like John Candy, obviously, Rick Moranis.
Oh yes,
Dave Thomas.
And I would actually even recommend, if you guys are done with this series, I actually got into some of the Christopher Guest movies.
Oh,
yes. I was just about to suggest A Mighty Wind to you. Because
I just saw Waiting for
good.
Guffin and For Your Consideration.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, Best in Show.
Best in Show is one of my faves. Yeah,
definitely.
I mean, Mighty Wind.
Check that out.
Is I mean, I love folk music, and it's like folk music and Spinal Tap.
Spinal Tap. Yeah.
Can't go wrong with that. It's genius.
Yeah, and it helps that the music in it is legitimately all very good.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. And it's great because each like fake band in the movie is based off of a real folk group. Like Catherine O'Hara and Eugene Levy play this Ian and Sylvia type, and like they have like the new Christy Minstrels type group where it's like the pop, like which Parker Posey's in. Like there's so many great people in that movie. It's a lot of fun.
And I think This Is Spinal Tap was one of the first, or it inspired the mockumentary genre.
Yeah, and this is the band in this movie is Spinal Tap, just doing a folk band. The folk band. It's same three guys.
Nice. But yeah, Christopher Guest, I definitely have to delve more into his filmography because just to see Eugene and Catherine again, it's exciting.
Especially you get a lot of Catherine O'Hara singing in A Mighty Wind.
Yep.
You think is that her real singing voice or?
Yep.
That's
yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Great.
I mean, Nightmare Before Christmas, that's her singing there too. Yeah.
She was Sally. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, okay, guys. So that's Schitt's Creek, and we can talk about that forever. We'll probably talk about it again in a future show. But for tonight, I think we'll get into our first review. And Rachel, I know you didn't see it, but that's okay. If you get a chance, it is called On the Rocks, and it stars Rashida Jones as a mother who is basically, she suspects her husband, who is played by Marlon Wayans, of cheating. So basically she gets involved with her father in a scheme of basically tailing him to find out whether or not he actually is cheating. And basically you've got, Bill Murray as Bill Murray. He's, kind of this sarcastic guy, kind of a womanizer, older guy who kind of joins forces with Rashida Jones in this adventure. And it's actually not bad. I mean, it's funny, it's sweet, it's heartbreaking at times. It's directed by Sofia Coppola, who is no stranger to that kind of mix, that kind of dark drama character study, which she's probably best known for in Lost in Translation and The Virgin Suicides. So she's back in fine form with On the Rocks. I'm a fan. It might be on my list of favorite movies, or it might not be. I'm still debating. But yeah,
that is that's a little cliffhanger for next week.
Yeah, it's a weird movie because it's
will they or won't they?
Yeah, there you go. No, it's I like it a lot. I think it was very well made. It's very subtle, understated film that really makes use of New York City as a setting, as a character in itself. And I love seeing Bill Murray and everything, obviously, being a Ghostbuster. But Chris, what did you think of On the Rocks?
Yeah, no, if I recall, I think we were doing the end of the year show in 2019 with you, Rachel. I think you were there. And I remember this was on my anticipated list for 2020. And it didn't disappoint. I loved this movie. I've watched it 3 times since watching it when it came out. I got Apple Plus just to watch this movie too. I love Sofia Coppola, and I think her style is definitely more character driven, but it's also very slow burn many times. I think this is probably the most accessible to a wider audience, more fast paced, if you would, than her other movies, like Somehow comes to mind. And it's definitely, comparing her other collaboration with Bill Murray, Lost in Translation, this is, you get it kind of the first time you watch it. Whereas for me, at least, Lost in Translation, I had to watch 2 or 3 times to really appreciate it, especially as I got older. Yeah, this is a great character study. It's Bill Murray, as you said, as Bill Murray. It's just him doing his shtick, and God bless him. Like I could watch him just be him. I could just watch him. I can look out a window and watch Bill Murray for my days until end. And I'll be a happy guy. And Rashida Jones, I think she plays a very undertoned daughter who is kind of confused by the whole situation. I think she does a great job. And there's one scene in particular I won't blow it for Rachel, but it's definitely the highlight of her performance, and I would say of Bill Murray's performance too. I think the hand in hand, the back and forth that they gave each other was just a great dance, and it was really impactful. That kind of blew me in the gut a little bit after that scene. It was like this whole movie kind of accumulated to that scene type of situation. I think it's an important film too. I think it came at an interesting time, especially like after the Me Too movement, and for me, it kind of shows the difference between stereotypes um, and just this male machoism between generations. If you see how Bill Murray approached cheating or adultery, he was very much male driven. This is how a man thinks. This is what a man does, and this is how I approach this. That you should be on target. You should hunt this guy down and really follow him. He's a very cut black and white type of guy, whereas it kind of plays to this modern world now of a man is not could be defined as someone who's not that male masculine driven, where he could just be in a situational type where it might look like he's in a cheating situation based off of the situations that he's in, but he's not necessarily has that mentality as an older generation. So it kind of plays on these archetypes of generations between male machoism. I kind of thought was an interesting take, and I thought it was a very interesting way of actually displaying it um, between a man like Bill Murray, who kind of came from this past of adultery and is almost kind of supporting Rashida Jones and supporting the female viewpoint under his lens, as opposed to um, Marlon Wayans, who is kind of like in the clear and like he's kind of living his life, and he's kind of putting in these situations where Rashida Jones has to determine whether or not it's true or not. So I think it's interesting to see how she has to navigate through her upbringing through Bill Murray, and kind of weaving around his character and how maybe she understood his lies growing up and understood how he thinks, but also at the same time being a little confused or a little worried as to whether or not men still think this way. And I thought that it was just an interesting take on that. Yeah. So I completely loved it. I won't give away my top 10 just yet, but I'll take a chapter from you, Randy, and I'll say maybe it is, maybe it's not, but I'm gushing over this movie because it's something that I could watch over and over again and be very content with.
I think, yeah, with multiple viewings, it'll get better. And
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of the movies that we've reviewed are like that, guys. But
yeah,
that's not a bad thing. That's not bad.
Yeah, and it's very satisfying.
Yeah.
I think it's so subtle, the performances and the story, that I think that with each new viewing you can pick up a little bit more and read between the lines between Bill Murray's character and Rashida Jones's character, as I did, after watching it multiple times. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great I haven't really seen many movies where a father-daughter bond has been displayed so
Yes.
effectively.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. And it's just seeing them together. She's so comfortable with knowing how her father is, and she has to decide whether or not she has to take him seriously or kind of read in between his lines and read between his past and try to take those nuggets of information and clues that he's giving her rather, to kind of figure out whether her husband actually cheated on her or not. So,
and I should also mention Sofia Coppola's direction is great, coupled with Philippe Lassorde. He's the cinematographer on the film. So basically, they have painted a really nice picture here, really beautiful, mosaic, if you will, but really highlighting, like I said, New York City as a character. It's very, very vivid, yet subtle at the same time. And I haven't seen New York shot this well in quite a while. This is just it's just a beautifully lit. Every shot of the city looks great, and it's
Did he do Lost in Translation too?
The cinematographer, I don't
Yeah.
know, but it does feel similar.
It does have some parallels, yeah.
Yeah, like
And
Lots of Tokyo were I could see that.
yeah.
But Sofia Coppola, she's the captain of the ship, and she did a great job.
Yeah.
Matt, what did you think, sir?
I absolutely loved it. I mean, a lot of what I have to say, you guys have already covered. You know, the dynamic between Murray and Jones, like they play off each other so well,
Mhm.
and
So good.
it is so enjoyable to watch the two of them go back and forth.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, and they're both actors that I could watch them do that alone. You know,
Mhm.
they're both incredible, and you know, I love all like just Murray's dialogue in this film is so good. Like all of the like facts that he drops, and
Yes.
like
Yep.
I love that. It's like he's got something to say about everything.
Yeah.
Where
We all know
whether-
someone who's like
whether-
that.
I love like, you know, just like little things like when they're in a restaurant and it's like, "Are you a ballerina?" And it's like, "Come on, Dad, could you
Yeah.
stop this?" He's like, "What? They like being complimented." Like it's just like his just whole like persona is, it's one of those things where it's like almost where like his like over masculine like alpha male shit
Yeah.
should make you angry.
Yeah.
But he's just so likable.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
If it was any other person, he would be like a creepy old man.
yeah, he
He
pulls it
pulled
off.
very well.
He plays it off, you know, and it's like but you know, it's, and especially like what you were saying, Randy, is that you know, it's nice to see like a father daughter
Yeah.
like relationship. And as a father of 4 daughters, I appreciate seeing things like that because you really don't see a lot of that in movies. And I mean, you know, I obviously like someone like Sofia Coppola, you know, it's, you know, between her and her father, you know, it's like, you know, you expect that. But I mean, I love all of Sofia's movies. Um, and even the last movie we actually got to screen at Cult Cafe was Virgin Suicides, her directorial feature debut, and
Still a great movie.
and that was like, that was the last time we would sit in those chairs in that cafe until who knows when. But I'm glad it was that movie. You know, it's a good movie to go out on. But
Absolutely.
I mean, it's great watching like the directors from that age. You know, they're all in their late 40s, early 50s now, like her and like you know, Spike Jones, who she used to be married to, and even like Noah Baumbach. It reminds me a lot, you know, of like Marriage Story, where like we're at this level in their lives where
Yes.
you know, we're dealing with things like divorce and children and stuff, and it's excellent being that, like, you know, it's like it's mirroring my life, you know, growing up, you know, watching you know, Virgin Suicides. I mean, I was in my 20s when it came out, but like still like it like hit very close to, you know, home with like that feel that, you know, I still had growing out of being a teenager, to these movies where it's like it's still so relatable, but it's such a different kind of movie.
Yeah.
And you know, I love seeing these directors doing stuff like this instead of like trying to keep doing the exact same movie. Like, not that I want to slag him or whatever, because I absolutely love his work. But Wes Anderson, I would love to see. I would love to see if he could do something like more grounded, like from the heart. I mean, there's a lot of heart in his stuff.
That's impossible.
Well, to
Yeah.
be fair, you have Noah Baumbach, who started out doing a movie about divorce that happens to be more from the perspective of the kid.
Yeah.
Now you have Noah Baumbach doing a movie about divorce from the perspective of the dad.
That is true.
Nice bookends, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, another director who's kind of in that group, Spike Jones.
Yeah.
And,
Oh yeah.
the Charlie Kaufman collaboration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that.
And,
That
I mean, you know, Spike Jonze's movies have gotten more like adults too as
Yeah.
they go on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like it's great to watch them grow and like still have that impact that I felt from them. Like unlike people say like Kevin Smith, who it's like, oh, you put out like some funny movies that, and then it's like, what the hell are you doing? Like, I'm making Clerks 3. I'm writing it right now because someone on Twitter told me to. Like throw the fucking towel in, dude. You are a washed up nobody. No one cares.
Hey,
And,
I like Kevin Smith.
he's hit or miss.
actually-
Had a few classics. but-
It's actually one of the. It was one of the highlights before the pandemic started. I went to his road show for.
How was that?
James.
I didn't bother to see it.
It was fun. It's more of what you expect, but
I mean, I kind of like he kind of lost me around Jane Silent Bob Strike Back. It's not that I didn't enjoy the movie a little bit. Like that Clerks 2, it's like they're dumb.
yeah,
But like whatever.
yeah.
I mean, it's like one of those things where like I thought like Dogma was like
Yeah.
a masterpiece. Like that movie, like
yeah. No, I get it.
and
yeah.
it's like I was and then I mean he did Jersey Girl, which like was him trying to grow out of it, and then people were like, nah, we don't want that.
Yeah.
So bringing things back to On the Rocks for a second, I did look up whether it was the same cinematographer. It's actually a different cinematographer that worked with her before, and has also did work with her on Lost in Translation. Marie Antoinette, Where the Wild Things Are is also another one that he was the DP for, which I love that movie. Absolutely love that movie. Adaptation, like, just has done a slew of really great movies. Being John Malkovich also under his belt.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
And Rachel, real quick, because we're actually running out of time, but I want to get to you for on. I know you didn't see the film, but quickly, what are your thoughts on Sofia Coppola's work?
I really enjoy her. I feel like people kind of sleep on her until like she has a new movie coming out, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, that's right, Sofia Coppola is still around." But yeah, I think Marie Antoinette is actually probably one of her most underrated movies. I think that people should revisit it because I don't think that we would have movies like The Favorite, and we wouldn't have shows like The Great without Marie Antoinette doing it first, because she did historical anachronism in that just perfectly. The music choices, the like, just the moments that you're like, this isn't historically accurate. And it's like, well, that's not the point.
For sure.
It's trying to have a bigger message. So
this might be scandalous, but I respect her more than her dad. As much as I love,
I like her movies way more than I like her dad's movies.
As much as The Godfather is a classic. I'm Italian, so it's been my Bible, growing up. And I love Apocalypse Now, but that was 40, 50 years ago now. So now we're, she is kind of like playing the gamut and like experimenting, more and she's producing, she's churning them out consistently good, across. So she learned it from her upbringing, obviously, but I think she kind of carried the torch better.
Same with Nicolas Cage, same family, Nicolas Coppola.
Yeah. I mean, Nick Cage is great, but he's also like
Jason Schwartzman is also a part of that family. Why are we talking about them?
Yeah.
I like tangents as much as the next guy. Come on.
All right. Well, here's another one. We're going to take a short commercial break. We'll be back with more film reviews right after this.
Under the Radar is brought to you by Magnitude Jewelry. Add a 2 to match your attitude. Patent pending, interchange genuine gemstone and crystal EMF protection jewelry. For more information, please visit magnitudejewelry.com/gemgirl or call 718-268-6
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. We are halfway done with our movie reviews here. And our second movie today is called News of the World. And it stars the great Tom Hanks as a Civil War veteran who, by chance, comes across a young girl who was abducted by Native Americans. And now she has nowhere to go but to a family that they're not in contact. So basically, Hanks escorts this young girl through the harsh Texas plains, and they basically encounter trouble, bandits and killers, potential rapists at every turn. It's directed by Paul Greengrass, who collaborated with Tom Hanks for Captain Phillips a few years ago, which is an amazing film. And I think this film, though not as good as Captain Phillips, it's still a very, very entertaining movie. It's shot really well. The acting is great, not just from Hanks, but from the girl, who is played by Helena Zengel. And, it's also worth noting it is Tom Hanks' first Western since Toy Story. He never actually played a cowboy in real life, in live action. So here's his chance, and I think he does a fantastic job. This is a great movie. It may be on my top 10. Rachel, what did you think of News of the World?
I mean, I think it's really wonderful because when I watched it with my husband Eric, his first comment was, they don't make movies like this anymore. And I go, well, they never would have made this movie back when they were making these movies. Like, because the fact of the matter is that you look at a lot of the parallels that News of the World has with a lot of classic Westerns, particularly The Searchers, with the notion of girl abducted by Indians, et cetera, et cetera. And the fact that it takes a totally different angle on the material than those movies did. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty great.
Yeah. It's also got like a True Grit feel to it. Kind of similar. And
the comparison, yeah.
That's like the Western formula, just, finding a lost child, protect the child, bring them to safety, and whatever adventures you face along the way, there you go. That's a movie.
Yeah, or like The Last of Us.
Okay. I didn't see that, but
well, it's a game, but yeah.
Oh.
Yep. It's a video game. Basically,
Okay.
Zombie apocalypse, very similar story.
I'll have to look into
Go
it.
around reading the news to zombies.
Chris, what did you think?
I adored it too. I loved this movie. I would have to slightly disagree with you, Rachel. I think they are making movies like this still. But I think it's somewhat underappreciated with a smaller screen. I got the same vibe watching this movie as I did watching Midnight Sky, the George Clooney movie.
I have not seen that.
You should.
Yeah.
I love that movie too.
I think he directed that as well, right, Chris?
What was that?
He directed that as well, Clooney, right?
Yes. Yep. This and even Midnight Sky, they take such a huge landscape, such a grand vision, and they really, instead of making a spectacle, a spectacle of the of just watching action or watching the scenery, they really boil down the story and make it very small. So it's interesting that we're getting this from these streaming services, and it's almost sad though, because I would have loved to seen something like this on a bigger screen. I would have loved to seen something like Midnight Sky on a bigger screen. If we were in normal times, despite it being on streaming, I would have run to go and see it. I did it with The Irishman. I felt like I couldn't just watch The Irishman on Netflix. You can't do that to a Martin Scorsese movie. I had to go out and actually watch it. And I did the same thing for El Camino. But this was a fantastic movie. I loved the scenery. I love the cinematography. Darius Wolski did the cinematography. And what I thought was that the highlights of the movie came from people behind the camera. The cinematographer, like Darius Wolski, or the score, the soundtrack from James Newton, like Newton Howard, that fantastic. Like I immediately downloaded the score afterwards. I felt like you, Randy, and I just really appreciate it. It was just interwove with the storyline fantastically. And Tom Hanks and the girl, they didn't really have much in the film. They were, from my perspective, they were very silent for the majority of it. And just almost the silence between the characters, and the fact that Tom Hanks was learning, her language, I thought spoke volumes. Like that's something that you never really quite saw too much in even older Westerns, that you had the white protagonist, the savior, almost like trying to adapt to the native language a little bit. And I thought that was just an interesting take, especially Hanks being the older person of the film. So I really respected that. But it just a beautiful film. Paul Greengrass, I love Paul Greengrass. He's actually the reason why I got into film criticism. He just doesn't disappoint. I remember seeing Captain Phillips at the Lincoln Center, and it was just it was fantastic seeing on the big screen with Tom Hanks too. So it surely doesn't disappoint. So definitely something to watch. And I hope we do get back to normal soon, and I hope they do replay this in the theater, because I would love to go see it on a big screen.
Yeah, another notch on Hank's belt, another wonderful.
Yeah.
And I can possibly even see an Oscar nomination, but we'll see. And like you said, there are moments where they're on the stagecoach, they're not even speaking, and that's just cinematic magic right there. Like you don't need dialogue for it to be a good movie.
Yeah, and I mean it ties back so well with what he says at the end when he not to spoil too much, but he says he has the line about she needs to make new memories. And it's like she's been making those memories with him.
Yes, yeah. Which is the reason why,
and that's why they should be together.
Yes, yeah. That's a great point.
And I think this is one of the few Tom Hanks films where there's like an action sequence. Like I'm going back.
I love that action sequence. Oh my god!
On the hill,
with the quarters in the buckshot. Oh my god, that was fantastic.
Yeah, and the last time I saw something a decent action sequence from a Hanks film was probably Turner and Hooch. Which is
weird because I guess like a lot of his movies like can kind of be considered action movies, but he's like never involved in it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Like Saving Private Ryan,
Saving Private Ryan. There you go.
He doesn't have much action in it, but like it's an action movie.
It's cool to see Hanks fire a gun for some reason. I don't know. It just works.
Yeah.
And I'm going back to Turner and Hooch real quick. His love interest in that movie, played by Mare Winningham, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? Hold on a second. Sorry, Mare Winningham. Yeah, she was in Turner and Hooch as Tom Hanks' love interest, and she has actually a supporting role in News of the World. So slight trivia there.
Mm-hmm.
And while we're on the subject of trivia, I wanted to go back to On the Rocks and let you guys know that when Sofia Coppola was workshopping the script for Lost in Translation with an acting class, Rashida Jones was among the students and played the part of Charlotte, but that eventually went to Scarlett Johansson. So I thought I'd mention that real quick. But yeah, Matt, what were your thoughts on News of the World?
I mean, I loved it. It was beautiful, and I did get to see it on the big screen. It was one of those things where
lucky man.
I saw it the Sunday it opened, like we opened on Friday, and as soon as my kids were at my ex-wife's house, I went to the theater to go see it. Before Randy even asked me to go see it, I need to see this movie because this is one that I had been waiting for. This was one of those movies where I was so anxious to see it, and it did not let me down. I absolutely loved it. It's a painting. I mean, it's a beautiful painting. And even it's amazing how there's very little dialogue, but the dialogue is so good. What few lines of dialogue in the movie there are are incredible, and
Totally agree.
you know, just the cast of characters. I mean, because there's not really that many people in the film either,
Mhm.
but like everyone they come across, like everything is just played so well.
Mhm.
I mean that one scene when he's reading the paper in the town that doesn't like news. You know, it's it's just like it's like this great like it's just a great scene, like the way it plays out. Uh, it's just a really like fantastic movie.
Yeah.
I really should watch it again, and I probably will soon.
Yeah. Again, visually, this movie is almost perfect. And you don't need a lot of dialogue either, so it was really cool to see that. And especially young Helena Zengel, who plays Joanna. Wow, what a
I hope she gets nominated for an Oscar.
see that.
Fantastic.
And you know what, they did an interview with her last month, and they asked her, she didn't even know who Tom Hanks was before she got cast.
Was she captured by Indians?
She's pretty much. She's
she had this wildness about her.
quote unquote. I think I'd seen the Da Vinci Code before, but I didn't know who he was. I thought it was just some actor. One of the biggest stars in the world, but okay. But
it wasn't like, I think I might have seen Toy Story 1,000 times. It was like, Da Vinci Code? Okay. That's like the last movie I think of when I think of Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
Like, I forgot about those movies. Like, but it's like, oh man, that's so weird.
Tom Hanks from Bonfire of the Vanities.
Yeah, right.
But all right, so going back to On the Rocks, see it, skip it, you recommend?
See it, absolutely.
See it, yeah.
And Rachel, definitely see it.
Yeah, I will.
Check it out.
See it.
I say see it for sure, and you may or may not hear more about it next week. We shall.
Same. I don't know. Will you? Won't you? There's 3 of us right now who've seen the film that aren't sure whether or not it's going to be featured.
We'll see. It's looking good though. All right, cool. So guys, well, how much time do we have here?
I add with Tom Hanks. He had quite the year last year, huh? He had 2 films, became a Greek citizen, and got COVID.
It's a full year for the man.
And hosted Saturday Night Live from his house.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he just hosted the inauguration after the party thing.
Yeah.
Look at me.
Oh, actually,
there was. I read the newspaper now.
Rachel?
There was one other actor that I wanted to mention that I noticed from the cast that I immediately recognized his face in the sequence with, as we called it, The Town That Hates News.
The Town That Hates
His name is Gabriel Ebert, and he is a Tony Award-winning actor, and he's super talented, and he's in some other movies. You might, if you look him up on IMDb, you might have seen some of his other work, but it was just really fun to see him in this little role in as one of the townspeople. He definitely has a very recognizable face. So,
any relation to Roger?
I don't think so. I would guess no. But he actually he won the Tony Award for playing Mr. Wormwood in Matilda the musical. So
nice.
He's a very multi-talented actor.
I could see that.
His song and dance number in this movie was incredible.
And also, I will say that
the news of the world.
I would watch Tom Hanks read the news anytime.
Honestly, it was so fun to watch. I wish there was more of him reading the news in the movie.
There was the whole thing about some good news getting John Krasinski's show getting acquired and everything by CBS. Let's just get Tom Hanks. He can host it. Since Krasinski's already said he's not going to host it, just get Tom Hanks and he can read the news.
I think Hanks is a little more expensive though, so that may be an issue.
Yeah, perhaps.
I just want to go through. Paramount Pictures has some new Blu-ray and DVD releases to celebrate certain anniversaries in February. So I'm just going to go down the list. If you have a reaction, that's cool. If not, that might be better because we're running low on time. So no offense. All right, first up, celebrating its 25th anniversary is Black Sheep.
Yes.
Chris Farley.
Not as good as Tommy Boy, but
True.
still very good.
Yes.
Next up is Invasion of the Body Snatchers, celebrating
Yes.
its 65th anniversary.
Yeah, I loved it.
Great movie.
One of my favorite horrors. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. For sure.
Classic horror film. Oh, it's all about paranoia. It's classic. All right, and next up is Beautiful Girls, celebrating its 25th, and it's basically like it's sort of like a St. Elmo's Fire, I believe.
I'm sorry. I love Matt's
that movie-
reactions.
That movie's great.
Is
And
it?
the soundtrack is so good. I'm
Nice.
like, wait, I know that movie. Which movie is that? That movie is so good.
Matt was processing just.
I
now.
was like, Beautiful Girls. Which movie is that? I know.
Timothy Hutton. Uma Thurman's in it, Rosie O'Donnell, Matt Dillon, Michael Rock.
Yep,
That
I
sounds
remember that one now.
It's like one of those things that had to process, but that's one hell of a movie.
okay.
And I highly suggest the soundtrack.
Okay.
Like Afghan wigs, and it's a great collection of 90s artists doing like soul music. I love it.
All right, good to know. Glowing recommendation, Matt. Next up is a documentary, Neil Young, Heart of Gold, celebrating its 15th
Awesome.
anniversary.
Not familiar with.
Jarmusch did that one. Is that one of the Jarmusch ones? Jarmusch did so many Young documentaries. I kind of get lost. He did like 5 of them.
Don't see his name.
I don't know if that's.
Oh, it's directed by Jonathan Demme,
Oh, Jonathan Demme. Okay.
Silence of the Lambs fame.
Yes.
That's cool.
And Talking Heads stop making sense. Also.
Mhm.
Nice. My Bloody Valentine is next up, celebrating its 40th.
God, it's that old. Jeez.
Yeah.
I was thinking of the remake for some reason.
Oh.
That's celebrating. Maybe it's like 5th.
I was like 40. I'm like, oh, yeah,
Probably like
it was.
12th or something.
All right, and now we have the Chris Rock comedy celebrating its 20th anniversary, Down to Earth.
Oh wow!
That's
I
me.
have still never seen that movie.
I think what he dies and comes back as a
Is
a
Joe
Oh my
Pesci in
God.
that?
white
Joe?
man. What?
Who's the white guy in that? Is it Joe Pesci? I don't-
Chaz Perry?
I was
No,
gonna say Warren
that's-
Beatty, but I'm like, no, that's Bulworth.
Yeah. That's
Oh, Eugene Levy's in it too, by the way.
course.
Yeah, that's right.
It's cool.
Holy cow, 20 years?
Yeah,
Man.
that sounds like a fun movie. But I'd rather see Chris Rock's stand up. I think that's,
I would rather see Fargo.
that's a show I've been meaning to get into. Is it amazing? Does it connect with the Coen Brothers film, or
No.
is it kind of
Not really,
No.
no.
Like
No.
it's stylistically
Mm.
like similar,
okay?
but each season is also its own separate entity.
There's a lot of dumb criminals. That's the connecting thread.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. And this is a biggie, celebrating its 70th anniversary, The African Queen, starring
Mm.
Humphrey Bogart and Katharine Hepburn, a classic. I believe Bogart won his only Oscar for this. Yeah.
Yeah, because they have the joke in Road to Bali, the Bob Hope movie, where Humphrey Bogart is coming through the swamp and he's like carrying the Oscars, and I think like he drowns, and Bob Hope snatches the Oscar off of him and starts giving his acceptance speech.
That's awesome. I love it. So let me just check the time real quick. Okay, so we've got the African Queen, and then last but not least, celebrating his 35th, Pretty in Pink, and
Wow.
yeah, Molly Ringwald. She was a star back then, so that's pretty good.
I just watched Betsy's Wedding, which
Oh.
was her 4 years later.
She needs to do more stuff. I haven't really seen her in the past decade.
She was on Riverdale.
Yeah,
She played
she
Archie's
does
mom.
a lot of TV now. She was on Secret Life of American Teenager forever. So
Okay.
she's been in the TV zone probably since the 90s. She
Okay.
had like a bunch of failed sitcoms also.
I wanted to see more of her in The Stand, the Stephen
Oh,
King.
yeah.
That was pretty good. Guys, plugs. What are you what's going on? Matt, I know you have the Kelp Cafe. What's on for this weekend?
This weekend we're doing the film Bum Rap, which is an indie film from 1989 that is pretty much unavailable anywhere. I had to get it off of VHS tape. So it's direct from VHS to your homes. So that'll be an interesting one to watch. It's a classic. You don't get to see that often.
Cool.
I know they showed it on TCM a couple times, but that was even a couple years ago. But I have not seen it in a long time.
All right.
And that's happening Saturday night, 9:50. Find us at the Cult Cafe, Not So Secret Society on Facebook.
Cool. Awesome. Rachel, anything you want to plug?
Not too much. You can find me over on Twitter at Rachel E. Kolb. I'm a lot quieter and happier now here in 2021 than I was in 2020.
Aren't we all?
I get to talk a lot less about politics in the world, and I get to talk a lot more about just pop culture and stuff, the important things.
Are you doing your podcast, Rachel?
Yes, I still am. It's been a while since the last episode. There's been a lot of things going on in my life, unfortunately. But there is a new episode that is coming out here soon, hopefully this coming Thursday. So
cool.
So, and you can find the previous episodes. The name of the podcast is Faith Healing.
Cool.
Great. Chris, anything going on with you?
Not too much. Just a lot of writing on my end, a lot of spec writing. I'm loving sketch writing, comedy sketch writing with UCB. So just doing a lot of me time, a lot of me stuff. So yeah, you could just follow me at Chris Clemente on Facebook, and also with Foreign Nationals, the pilot that we're actively we're actually revising the pilot and doing more with that. So you can visit Foreign Nationals on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram as well.
Very cool. All right, guys. So as for me, I just want to mention a very important documentary that's out now. It's called Hunger Ward, and it's about starving children in Yemen. This is an extremely important topic. And if you want to know more and even donate to the cause to hospitals in the Yemen area, just go to hungerward.org. That's hunger, WARD, hungerward.org, and click the Get Involved button so you can donate, see the film, and try to help out these kids, because if anyone needs it, they need it. So please help out. All right, guys.
Great.
Well, I want to thank you so much for your time tonight. This is great. You're all stars. You're gems. And
almost touch you, Randy.
Yes. Thank you. And I'll see you guys very soon. Also, guys watching at home and on your devices, you could watch Under the Radar every Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern on Manhattan Neighborhood Network. So check that out. And until next time, I want to say thank you for watching. We'll see you soon.